Jackson Radio Show.
So the big news that came yesterday was Tillerson has been fired. Yo, Rex, I've watched your performance. You're not any good. You're fired. Go get on the airplane. Go get on the helicopter. There's a reason why this needed to happen. For those of you who are going, there's more turmoil with Donald Trump. Glad you guys are here at KJRadio.com, so you can find out more about me and the team. 844-551-8255. Rex Tillerson is an accomplished CEO. Undoubtedly ran one of the largest privately, non-governmental companies in the world, if not the largest. I know, Apple had bigger market cap and Facebook and all that, but in terms of complexity, there is nothing more complex than the oil business. Nothing. And Rex Tillerson was over ExxonMobil, a behemoth. The bad guys of industry, right? Black energy. Now, if the news of North Korea didn't tip off most people into the fate of Tillerson, the fate that awaited him, it certainly tipped me off. Indicators came earlier. I dismissed them, not in the sense that I didn't believe there could be a rift between Tillerson and Donald Trump, but it just didn't make sense. Not enough time had passed. Not enough foreign policy things had occurred for me to say, oh, he's going to get rid of him. Personality-wise, probably. Personality-wise, there are things you can predict. In fact, maybe that's what we do one show. I just look at Trump's cabinet and I tell you when I predict they're going to leave. Because there will be turnover. As they say in the Bible, there will be wars and rumors of wars. There will be turnover and rumors of turnover with Donald Trump. See, although President Trump likes to set the course on a direction of segments, of the country, segments of his administration, there's no doubt about that. He does this in all areas. What he expects is his team to back his play. Tillerson wasn't used to playing second fiddle. It's just the truth. The no-nonsense approach of Donald Trump to foreign policy didn't play well with Rex Tillerson's personality. Tillerson doesn't confront. President Trump does. Tillerson's got that Southern charm. Talks to people with that Texas accent and he says, listen, here's how we're going to try to do this. And he's used to having to negotiate because he's got a multinational company, a global company that has to follow the rules of whatever president he deals with, whatever rules that apply, Congress and all this. So while he's number one and he's used to running the company, number one, he's waiting on orders on how to do it. And then he just responds. They aren't expecting him to be something different than his personality. So the situation with North Korea sounded a lot of alarm bells because President Trump had already had to involve himself too much in the Secretary of State's role. See, when he began working with China on trade and things like that, he was simultaneously working with North Korea. I think he expected Tillerson to know this. I don't know how much people talk. Look, I'm not in the inner circles of this stuff. The American economy is President Trump's weapon. And he expected his Secretary of State to understand how to leverage that. That's my feeling. Tillerson failed. And because of that, President Trump had to take the lead. He was forced to take the lead. He reluctantly did so. Because what he did is he set it up. He goes, look, I'm going to go talk to China. We're going to talk about trade. We're going to talk about devaluation of currency. We're going to talk about partnerships. We're going to talk about North Korea. We're going to talk about Russia. We're going to talk about the Asian Peninsula. We're going to talk about a lot of things. And I expect you, Rex, to look at all this, evaluate it, and put a plan together that says, here's how I'm going to stabilize this region of the world. Then we're going to move over to the Middle East. Then we'll move to ROW, which is what we used to call in sales rest of the world. Tillerson didn't do it. Trump had to step in. And he's happy to do it. He understands it. But despite what people think, he prefers to work in an advisory role leading from the very top. There's a saying in management that, only certain things flow up to your level. And how good you are determines what level that you get to. Donald Trump is saying unless Kim Jong-un has pushed the button on nukes, I don't really need to hear about this chump. That's why he called him Fat Boy and all that other stuff. He's like, look, keep Fat Boy away from me. He's that little fly that keeps buzzing around my ear while I'm trying to have a meeting. Donald Trump's like, I'm doing my job, man, at the very top. I'm greasing the skids for you to go over and say, look, Kim, you got this little bitty economy. We can shut you down. Do you see what's going on with China? Pretty soon they're going to shut you completely out. What happens, Kim, when your generals aren't eating? It's one thing for your privates not to eat. Your PFCs, your lower ranked people. I don't say your privates. It may mislead some leftists. But it's one thing when those people aren't eating. It's one thing when you're starving some folks and you've kept your finger on the pulse of things. You kept your foot on the neck of your people for a long time. They can deal with that. It's going to be another when it starts to filter up. And we're going to make sure China does it. See, if Rex had gone and had that conversation, then Kim Jong-un doesn't get to talk about pushing his little button. He actually got when he made that comment, he got Tillerson fired. Tillerson was supposed to fire back at Kim, not President Trump. President Trump should not have had to respond to this little dude, because in that moment, Kim showed that he had no respect for Tillerson. In what we call in sales, he went around him. He sold above him. And that's what made Trump go, he has no respect for you. Trump has this, it's funny to watch, I'm telling you. It's because it's draconian to some degree. It's Machiavellian in another piece, but he looks at these things and he looks at the optics of it and goes, man, that guy's no respect for you. A guy that respects you wouldn't do that. I know that's what Trump's thinking. So here's what he says. He tweeted, he says, and this is quintessential Trump. It says, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un stated that the nuclear button is on his desk at all times. Will someone from his depleted and food-starved regime please inform him that I too have a nuclear button? But it's much bigger and more powerful than the one on his, and my button works. And that was it. That was the beginning of the end. Donald Trump had to step in to help a surrogate who, by the way, led one of the biggest companies in the world, has a bigger market cap than North Korea. It left to on its own. It was a bigger company, I'm talking about Exxon, than North Korea. And Tillerson just doody. Well, we'll get to it. We'll figure things out. I'll get back with you. And he's very diplomatic, and Trump's going, what happened to you? What? I don't need diplomats. That's the last thing we need. I brought you on for your expertise in dealing with global companies and understanding the complexities therein. More when we come back on this subject.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.